Okay, because I'll just, I'll have to put a Word document. Okay.
Okay, are we ready then?
We are ready. Yay, everybody. Okay. Her connection is working.
Yes. Okay. Hi, guys. Good afternoon.
Hi.
So in 2015, I was pregnant with my third child, and I was seeing my gynecologist on a regular basis because I needed a cesarean. I had expressed my undoubted decision to have my tubes removed after the baby was delivered during surgery. So I signed all the paperwork. Everything was good to go for the tubal ligation after delivery. The day came, November 6, 2015, and after my child was delivered and I was all stitched up, the gynecologist poked her head above the sheet. She smiles and she says, "All done." I was excited. I was happy. I was going home with my little bundle of joy. Don't have a worry in the world. So 2 months later, I go in to go see the doctor, make sure I'm healing correctly. After the exam, she looks me right in the eyes and she says, "So what are you using for birth control?" Well, I laughed and I said, nothing. I mean, why would I be using birth control if I have no tubes? She tells me she'll be right back. And of course, I'm thinking nothing of it. A few moments later, she returns. She looks a bit uncomfortable and she says, "Christy, we lost your paperwork in transition. And I thought, like many, you had changed your mind about the tubal ligation. So we didn't do the procedure. And it looks like your blood work confirms you're already pregnant." Woohoo for me, right? Oh. I felt numb. Yeah. I felt numb for a moment as I sat there and thought, there must have been some kind of mistake. Once the initial shock wore off, all I could do was cry. I cried for hours, and all while thinking, what did I do to deserve this? What did I miss? And what could I have done differently to change this outcome? Mm-hmm. Needless to say, after this huge misunderstanding between the doctor and I left the office that day and was already pregnant now with my fourth child. My life-altering experience has stuck with me for many years, almost 6 to be exact. And I have always replayed the entire scenario in my head of what transpired between myself and my doctor that led to such a huge misunderstanding. I'm 37 years old now, and I took a class, Miss Hayes class, 1216 to be particular.
Brownie points there, brownie points.
Yeah. And I will tell you, as silly as it sounds, I had no idea what perception checking was, not gonna lie. And through my learnings and research, I have found some interesting facts that link to my own experiences, and I'm going to share what I have learned, and I'm sure they will link to your experiences that will lead you to some interesting facts that could very well change the course of your life. So think of a time in your life where you were led to a false conclusion based on something you misheard, or even because you didn't ask the question to verify your interpretation. Yeah. How many of you went to a job interview, for instance, and thought you got the job because of how engaged they were in conversation, or they smiled a lot, but in fact, you didn't even get that job. This has happened to me more times than I can count. Yeah. And this leads me here with you today to talk about the very thing we need to build. Perception checking, which is a necessary skill to have. And today I will discuss how perception checking can enhance your question asking abilities, build your listening skills, and how perception checking can ultimately reduce the number of miscommunications you experience. So let's take a look at how perception checking can help enhance those question asking abilities. When we ask questions, when it comes to perception checking, we are using questions to help us clarify what is going on. Mm-hmm. The more we use the skill, the better a skill becomes. True. I read this article that was about question asking. It was by Mind Tools content team, and it talks about the techniques of question asking. And of course, it talked about all of the question asking skills. And boy, oh boy, there was a ton. Just to name a few: closed questions, open questions, rhetorical questions, funnel question, probing questions, The list goes on, you guys. The list goes on.
Yeah.
But when we are really using our abilities while perception checking, we naturally build our skill in what type of question we should be asking. This quote that I've taken from that particular article is quite powerful, almost eye-opening, and it really sticks with me. And that was, and I quote, "If we ask the wrong question, we will likely get the wrong answer."
True.
End quote.
True.
The more we perception check and ask those questions, the better we are at learning which are best to use and when to use them. Think of someone you know, or even yourself, and this has happened to me as well, where you go to the dentist for a checkup, and they tell you that you need to have your tooth pulled because it's dead or there's this big hole in it. So you book your appointment at the front desk. Meanwhile, you're thinking, gosh, is there not another way that, like, I don't have to have this gaping hole when I smile? You turn around, you're perception checking, by the way. You go back to the dentist and you clarify, is it possible to save this tooth?
Yeah.
Why, yes, actually, more expensive, but we can do a root canal. So the first perception question that you did was, oh, okay, can I book the appointment? And the second question, after you've stopped, you've thought, the second question comes to you. Is there another option? Mm-hmm. You have now enhanced your question asking skills, all because of this perception check. So there you go. There's two. Imagine the question asking skills that will come with you constantly using the skill to clarify. Yeah. Although there are tons of different types of questions, we learn which are best to use to retrieve the right responses. Just remember that according to G. Goodman and G. Easterling, 1990, and I quote, "Questions are the most popular piece of language," end quote. Yeah. This is a true statement that requires building, and perception checking will help you get there. Now we have learned about how perception checking can enhance your question building skills. Let's take a look at how perception checking can help build your active listening skills. Perception checking requires you to actively listen so you know what is being said and expressed. And when we use the skill while perception checking, it only becomes stronger as we use it. Active listening is you actually listening. And when we're actively listening, we are processing not just words, but we are linking those words to meaning and interpretation, which is a key element of perception checking, as we will naturally paraphrase to make sure we are hearing and interpreting what we are being told. And this is a skill we can build. There's an article published by Bob Hayward, October 2018, called 6 Techniques to Master to Become an Active Listener. And they say, and I quote, "The two main skills involved in active listening are perception checking and paraphrasing," end quote. Think about when you're at work and you're sitting at your desk and your boss comes in and asks you to check the paperwork over and leaves it on your desk. And your response is, mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you're daydreaming or multitasking, or you're simply, on the phone, another call. Eventually you look down, you have no idea what you're supposed to do with this report. So you leave it and you forget about it because you're not listening. Mm-hmm. You now are in trouble because you weren't listening. Whereas if you were actively listening, you would have paraphrased. Oh, okay, you want me to look over this report? Even if you heard something and you weren't sure, you still would have asked the question to verify what was said, because you would have been actively listening to something. Now, due to a perception check, when it comes to listening, you now have clarified what was heard, and this skill will activate the more you use it. Mm-hmm. So now that we've talked about how perception checking can improve both your active listening and question asking skills, now we'll take a look at how perception checking can reduce your miscommunications. Perception checking helps you to clarify which limits the number of miscommunications you should experience. When you use your perception checking and all the skills attached, you can limit the number of miscommunications because you are limiting room for false assumptions, which can lead to the miscommunication. When you think of even my example with the gynecologist, had I used the perception checking, then the clarification would have been clearer, and I likely wouldn't have had such a life change due to me thinking one thing and it meaning another. just by simply listening and asking the verifying question, I would have obtained the right information given. An article I found by Amy Castro, a performance communication expert, and I quote, "Our interpretations and thus our final perceptions lead us to act on what we believe to be true when in fact we have no idea what the truth is," end quote. We need to perception check in order to understand what is really going on. And that way we can deal with the truth at hand. And this can eliminate our miscommunications. Now we have discussed all the key elements of what I consider to enhance, build, and minimize, all on the perception checking foundation. So in conclusion, just know how important perception checking is and how it can help build on important communication skills that can help reduce your number of miscommunications. We need to use these skills, whether it's from a short phrase, a silent act, something we thought we heard, or even just a gesture. That way in order to make sure we are interpreting what is being given. And just to clarify, I know that my family wouldn't have been complete without my fourth child, but just remember that using perception checking can help change a life-altering misunderstanding that can lead to a not so happily ever after. Like going in for a neck tattoo. You ask for a butterfly and you leave with a skull. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned some very useful skills related to your perception checking abilities.
So did you do that, go in for a butterfly and get a skull?
No, I was using that as an example. I've heard somebody said
Good
that
analogy,
to me one time, and it was like, oh my gosh, that's perfect.
Analogy. Thank you so much.
Did you ever get the tubal after the fourth?
Oh yes. You know what's funny is I've been working so hard on the flippant assay. Yes, I did. When I woke up after my fourth C-section, the doctor said the same darn thing. She said, all done. What's done? What is done? You tell me right now. And she's like, don't worry, Christy, the tubal ligation's done. Yes, 4 is enough, man.
This time, you said, this time it's done. I mean, I know you shouldn't look back and have those major regrets and stuff, but when something like that happens, what recourse do people have? Like, suppose you really, really, really didn't want a child. Would you have sued them or something?
I know everybody tells me I should. It's funny because I actually did contact a lawyer.
It's just,
it was crazy. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world, but realistically, it was just
an apology.
I got an apology, and I did. I got an apology, and that's all. Like, I just kind of left it at that. Honestly, it was like, okay, what can I do? Like, in my head, it's like, what can I do? Like, what can I do? But of course, I definitely learned because on my fourth, I was like, yeah, those tubes better be gone. They were gone.
Okay, I'm glad
That's hilarious.
I'm glad that you can smile now, though. I'm glad. Yeah.
Well, you can laugh at it now.
True. I'm managing.
Wow, wow. Anyway, thank you so much for sharing and for self-disclosing, because that's